بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Welcome to episode 4 of the series filtering out what the Prophet ﷺ never said. Someone asked about the hadith about 73 sects. He said, I've heard it's weak. I hope it is, inshallah. Now, before we talk about its authenticity, I'd like to clarify a point regarding the statement, hoping that it was weak, hoping that this hadith is weak. I can see why the brother might have said that. Hopefully, inshallah, he has a good intention. It's coming from a good heart. But the point is that we as Muslims, as believers, we don't formulate our views and beliefs independently and then look for that which supports it, then look for proof. We don't set our beliefs, decide what we're going to believe in, and say, well, this is what's good and this is what's bad, this is right and wrong, and then look for proof for it from the Quran and the Sunnah, then look for supporting evidence. But rather, the correct approach is we look at what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, we look at what the Prophet ﷺ have said, what is authentically established from him, we look at what the companions used to believe, and how did they practice Islam, and then we base our beliefs on that. We base our beliefs on that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows right from wrong, truly knows good from bad, and knows everything. He knows what the future will hold. He knows everything. He's all knowledgeable. Our knowledge is limited, our perception is limited, and we do not truly know except what Allah has taught us. So we should base everything that we believe in based on what Allah and the Prophet ﷺ have said, what is authentically established. So it's the other way around. Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, the scholars of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, and throughout history, they always look at what our texts say, what is authentically established, and then base our beliefs on what is mentioned there, rather than the other way around. Hold a belief and then look for proof to support it. That's what the people of innovation typically do. They have their belief and then they look for supporting evidence, and what doesn't support them, what is authentically established but doesn't support what they believe, they hide it, they ignore it, they brush it over, they sweep it under the rug, they try to misinterpret it. So this is a very important point. Now, concerning this hadith of the 73 sects, the Prophet ﷺ, hadith in reference is when the Prophet ﷺ said that just like the past nations split, this nation, this ummah, will split into 73 sects, all of which will be in hellfire except one. And in some narrations, the Prophet ﷺ explains, when he's asked who's this group that is excluded, 73 sects, all of them are in hell except for one. He explained in one narration, he said it's the Jama'ah. And in another narration, he said, what I'm upon and my companions. What he was upon during that time, and his companions, ﷺ, what they were upon. This hadith is authentic. It is authentically established from the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. And it has been narrated in so many books of hadith by so many scholars, through so many different chains of narration, from so many companions, and a lot of different scholars of hadith have classified it to be sahih, to be authentic. Some have even said that it's mutawatir. The meaning of it is mutawatir ma'nawi. And we'll talk inshallah in another time about mutawatir and what that means, and the difference between mutawatir lafzi and ma'nawi. So we'll talk about those at a different time. But it's not only is it authentic, it is from the highest levels of authenticity. So it's very authentically established. Just to give you an example, it was narrated by Tirmidhi, Abu Dawood in their Sunan, Imam Ahmad, and among others. It was narrated by Ibn Hibban, Al-Hakim, Ibn Abi Dunya. It's found in so many different books of hadith. So many different scholars of hadith have declared it to be sahih, to be authentic, like Tirmidhi, Ibn Hibban, Hakim, Al-Mundhari, Shatibi, Suyuti, Al-Iraqi, Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, Ibn Shaykh Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, all of them have declared it to be authentic. Dhahabi, Ibn Kathir, so many of them have declared it to be authentic. In fact, there is no scholar of hadith who is credible throughout history who have declared this hadith to be weak. And the few people that came today in our recent times that claim that it's weak, number one, they're opposing all these scholars who are knowledgeable about the science of hadith, but also they're not doing so with knowledge. They're not doing so based on the science of hadith, but rather based on their own desires, because they want to poke holes in it, and even the arguments that they've put forth don't even hold any weight. Unfortunately, they're doing so without knowledge. This hadith is authentically established. Shaykh Islam Ibn Taymiyyah said it's a Sahih hadith, it's authentic and it's well known. And Hakim said it's a major hadith, very important hadith in the foundational principles of the deen. Shaykh Al-Albani rahimahullah, when talking about this hadith and how it's authentically established, and he said it was narrated from so many different companions. It was narrated from so many different companions, including Anas bin Malik radiallahu anhu, and Shaykh Al-Albani saying he found 7 different chains of narration back to Anas radiallahu anhu with regarding this hadith. Just back to Anas. And he's just one companion out of many who narrated this hadith. And just back to him, there are 7 different chains of narrations. Auf bin Malik, other companions who narrated this hadith, Auf bin Malik, Muawiyah, Abi Darda, Ibn Abbas, Ibn Umar, Sa'd bin Abi Waqqas, Abdullah bin Amr bin As, Wathila, Abi Umama, and others who have narrated this hadith in slightly different variations, slightly different wordings, but it's the same hadith talking about how the Ummah will separate into 73 sects, all in hellfire except one. Now let's come to the meaning of it. So this hadith is authentically established, there's no doubt about it. It has so many different chains of narration, so many companions narrated, so many different scholars of hadith have declared it to be authentic, and you won't find one scholar of hadith from the past who have declared it to be weak or inauthentic. Let's come to the meaning of it. What does it say? So this hadith isn't talking about individuals. It's rather talking about the sects. It says split into 73 different groups or sects. This ummah was split into 73 sects or groups. So it's not talking about individuals. It's talking about the sects. It doesn't say that these sects will be in hell forever. It doesn't say that these sects will be in hell forever. It says these sects will be in hellfire. But it doesn't say that they'll be in there forever. We know that anyone who dies upon Tawheed, any individual who dies upon Tawheed, even if they enter hellfire, they will eventually be taken out and be allowed to enter Jannah. But we know this already from other authentically established narrations, that the Prophet ﷺ told us that every innovation leads to misguidance and every misguidance leads to hellfire. So these sects that have strayed away from the teachings of the deen, that strayed away from the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, that misguidance is leading them to hellfire. So again, confirming that meaning of the hadith. What we all also know from other authentic narrations is that some Muslims will enter hellfire on the Day of Judgment. Not everyone makes it across the Sirat and to the other side and enters Jannah. Some people will be scratched, they'll be able to make it over. Some people will be pulled down, or they'll fall down into hellfire as they're passing over the Sirat, and they will enter hellfire for a period of time. But again, anyone who dies upon Tawheed will be taken out, will be allowed to enter Jannah, and they won't be in hellfire for eternity. But we know that some people will enter hellfire. Some Muslims, we believe, as established in the authentic Sunnah, that some Muslims will enter hellfire on the Day of Judgment. Not everyone, just by default, by being a Muslim, will make it to Jannah right away. May Allah protect us all from hellfire. This hadith warns about the severity of innovations and deviations, and that they lead to misguidance, which lead to hellfire. And it might seem like it's something bad, but in reality, it's a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's from His mercy. He's guiding us to the right way. He's guiding us to the right way, to stick to the jama'ah, to stick to what the Prophet ﷺ and his companions radiallahu anhum were upon. Stick to the truth. Stick to the truth. And although the truth isn't identified by numbers, sticking to the Jama'ah means those who are established upon the truth. However, it's important to note that the majority of Muslims have always been, and are currently today, have always been established upon that path, or from that saved group. And even though sometimes those deviant sects might make it seem, because they're the loudest sometimes, or they might try to present it in a way that their group, their sect is the most in number, their sect is the most widespread, those beliefs that they hold, everyone or most of the Muslims hold these beliefs. In reality, that's not the case. Throughout history, these sects have been small groups of people, relatively compared to the Ummah. Relatively within the Ummah, they're small in numbers. They're not the majority by any means. Even if they're the loudest, they try to make it seem that their sect is the biggest in the Ummah. But in reality, they're not. And the scholars have refuted their deviations and clarified the truth. So this is a very beautiful hadith. It's a very beautiful hadith because it is warning us from deviating from the right way, and it's guiding us to what that right way is. Guiding us to, if we want to be from that saved group, who is not from those other sects, other 72 sects who are in hellfire, then stick to what the Prophet ﷺ and his companions were upon. Very easy, very simple. It's not complicated, it's not difficult. Don't follow any innovations, any deviations that people come up with, any new interpretations, new teachings, new things that they're adding into the deen. Just stay away from it. It's so simple. So the Prophet ﷺ is guiding us to the right way. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, وَمَن يُشَاقِقِ الرَّسُولِ, whoever opposes the messenger after guidance has become clear to them. من بعد ما تبين له الهدى, after guidance has become clear to them. ويتبع غير سبيل المؤمنين, and follows a different way than the path of the believers. Allah is referring to the believers and their path. Who were the believers during the time when the Quran was being revealed to the Prophet Muhammad? The companions, the Prophet and the companions with him. So whoever opposes the messenger and follows a different path than that of the believers, meaning the Prophet ﷺ and the companions, and anyone and everyone else who follows their path after their time until the Day of Judgment, what's the end result? Opposing the messenger, following a different path than the believers. نُوَلِّهِ مَا تَوَلَّى وَنُصْلِهِ جَهَنَّمْ وَسَاءَتْ مَصِيرًا. Their end result is hellfire. This same concept is established in the Quran. Allah is saying they will get what they will be given, what that person has taken, whatever they face, whatever they are following or pursuing, that's what they were going to get in the dunya. And on the Day of Judgment, their punishment will be hellfire, and what a evil destination it is. And so our deen is very clear and very beautiful and very simple. Our deen is by following the Quran and the authentic Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and following the way of the companions, what they were upon, what the Prophet ﷺ and his companions were upon, how they believed in Allah, how they worshipped Allah, how they practiced the teachings of the deen. This is the correct way. These are the true teachings of the deen. And it's not by innovating. Our deen is not by saying, well, today we've advanced and we've, we have this new level, higher level of thinking, a better intellect. We, have a better way of understanding the deen and the teachings of Islam and the Quran and Sunnah, or by adding new things to it. Oh, this is better. This is something good. No, any innovation into the deen, anything added to the deen are misguidance, and they lead to hellfire. And it's not by innovating and deviating from what they're upon. Because unfortunately, some people today think that they are upon better guidance than the Prophet ﷺ and his companions. SubhanAllah, Imam Malik rahimahullah says, من ابتدع في الإسلام بدعة يراها حسنة فقد زعم أن محمدا صلى الله عليه وسلم خان الرسالة لأن الله تعالى يقول اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم. Today I have perfected for you your religion. فما لم يكن يومئذ دينا فلن يكون اليوم دينا. Imam Malik rahimahullah is saying, whoever innovates into Islam an innovation that, or introduce into Islam, an innovation that they see as something good, then they are claiming, it's as if they're claiming that the Prophet Muhammad has betrayed the message of Islam, betrayed delivering the full message of Islam. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Imam Malik is quoting this verse from the Quran, "Today I have perfected for you your religion." This verse was sent down during the life of the Prophet Muhammad, of course, because all the Quran was sent down to him. So none of it could have been sent down after him, meaning if the deen was complete when Allah sent down this verse during the life of the Prophet Muhammad, Imam Malik continues on to say, فَمَا لَمْ يَكُنْ يَوْمَئِذٍ دِينًا, whatever was not part of our deen back then, it can't be part of our deen today. Because Allah is saying He has perfected our deen for us. Allah is saying He perfected our deen for us. What's something that's perfect? What does perfect mean? It means it's perfect as is. It's perfect the way it is. You can't add anything to it or take anything out of it because it's already perfect. Because it's already perfect. Barakallahu feekum, jazakumullah khaira, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.